right, word. Let's do it.
Yeah.
What's going on, family?
What up, y'all? What's good?
What's going on? What's going on? All
We're
right,
really out here.
we ready to start. Welcome to the first A.T.A. All Things Alternative podcast. This is Joey and I, our brainchild. So today
Yes,
we're gonna be talking about 10 influential games that left a lasting impact on the two of us. Games that we thoroughly enjoyed, clocked countless hours on, and games that we felt shaped us as human beings, set the table to become nerds for life. In a word,
For sure. And this whole podcast, Spanos and I have been talking about doing a podcast for quite some time, a very, very, very long time at that. And this kind of spawned literally overnight. This has been a matter of days. We kind of got this together. And before we dive into this, I want to stress that this is an all-encompassing podcast. Spanos and I have a variety of interests beyond just games, but all of them fall under the, for lack of a better way to put it, domain of being alt, because they're just not things that are traditionally sick as fuck to people, but they're really sick to us. So we're gonna be talking about other things like music, movies, TV, etc. in the future. But games, I think, have always been our big centerpiece. Our friendship in second grade was founded off playing games together, and here we are, 22 and 23. So I guess if you're ready, I'm good to dive into it whenever you are.
yeah. I mean, with that being said, I'm down to get into the list. And at the top of the list is none other. What do you think's at the top of the list, Joey? What game did we put at the top?
Well, I think the first thing we wrote down by default was Pokemon, which makes a lot of sense. I think there are possibly games on here that are like long-term more essential to us, but when I think about like our youth as people who play video games, that there's no more symbolic game than that.
Yes, you are correct. Pokemon is head and shoulders at the top of the list. Countless hours, countless games. Where do we even start with this one?
Well, I guess let me lead off by asking, what was your first Pokemon game that you received? Because we both talked about last night how we both did our first time picking up a Pokemon game was playing Pokemon Red, but it belonged to respectively a different family member. Like, we didn't own the game.
Okay, all right. So background. This is my Pokemon story. So I received a Game Boy Color as my first system ever. First system ever was a Game Boy Color from my godmother. It was my godmother's her daughter's old game system. So she got a Game Boy Advance, she upgraded, and I got the hand-me-down Game Boy Color. This Game Boy Color came with two games. It came with Kirby Dream Land, and classic, by the way, and Pokemon Red. So I kind of played Pokemon Red. I loved Pokemon. I loved watching the show on Kids WB. Shout out to Kids WB. And I played the game and I didn't really understand it. I would use Growl, nothing would happen. There were health bars. I was 4 or 5 years old. I had no idea what was going on. So I tended to gravitate towards Kirby, but I always loved Pokemon. As I got older, I learned how to read and figured shit out, and I figured out Pokemon Red, and I played my way through it, played the whole game, and then I believe next Christmas, my cousin Anthony got me Pokemon Crystal. That was the first one I got, new out of the box, and from there it was off to the races. And we can go from there, and then it turned into the first Game Boy Advance game, Pokemon Sapphire, Ruby, etc. So that's my background in that game. Countless, hundreds, probably thousands of hours clocked in that franchise. Days and days and days worth of playtime.
An ungodly amount of playtime. For me, I ended up picking up Pokemon Red at my cousin's house. At that point, I was probably 4 years old. And I would play it whenever I was there. And at that point, we visited quite a lot. And then finally, at age 5, I got Pokemon Silver and a Game Boy Advance, both as like a birthday present, veiled as a kindergarten graduation present because my birthday was in June. So it was like, hey, it's your birthday, and you finished school for the first time kind of as a kid. So my parents got me both of those, and that was like a absurd snowball effect of a sudden interest in going hard with games. It's like you said, countless hours, endless. And then
the fire starter.
For real. And then following that, mind you, I was in a similar situation. I wasn't getting crazy deep into, making progress in the game because I could hardly understand it. Like I could hardly read competently enough to like grasp what was going on. But I ended up getting Pokemon Sapphire that following year, and that was like a mental nuclear bomb of playing games. Like that just changed my whole fucking life.
By then, the ball was rolling. Definitely a life changer for sure.
I have a kind of fucked up story about Pokemon Sapphire. We were selling my old house, which was still in the town that we live in, and we were doing an open house the same day. I remember it was a rainy ass day. I picked up Pokemon Sapphire from Toys R Us with my dad, and I'm sitting there on my Game Boy Advance, in the bathroom, taking a shit as a child. And we were having an open house that day, and I remember a realtor, my mom, and a random family going into the bathroom to like check out the bathroom that I was in, and I was just sitting there as a child, completely naked, mind you, because I just shit naked as a kid, with Pokemon Sapphire in my hands, like brand new out the box, just sitting there naked with Pokemon Sapphire, and it was one of the most mortifying moments of my life to date.
Dude, sometimes
it's pretty fucked up.
Sometimes it just be like that.
They really do. One of the darkest moments of my life. But that's what Sapphire meant to me. And I remember one interesting thing about Pokemon, particularly because one, it was, a mobile game. You could play it anywhere on a Game Boy. I think Pokemon was one of those games that as a kid, you have just that, like, I don't know, those, like, I can't put this shit down moments with, where, like, you're out to dinner with family, you got your fucking Game Boy in your hands.
That was the beauty. Like, man, everything I do now is based off a setup. It's based off console. I don't have that same mobility that I did when I just had my Game Boy Color or my Game Boy Advance in my pocket, like back then. Out to dinner, out to wherever, school, dinner, the bathroom. It was there. Yeah. It was with you.
In bed, it's time to go to bed on a school night. You shut all your shit off, throw your little fucking Game Boy Advance light on, and bury yourself in blanket. Yeah, dude, it was just endless. And we definitely stayed with it for a couple of generations. Yeah, I mean, like I've more or less at least purchased, I think, every Pokemon game to date, but I can't firmly say I've vested too deeply in really any generation past Gen 4, except for whatever generation was Pokemon X, because I really enjoyed X. I picked that up and played through it, but I definitely would say I fell off decently hard after Diamond and Pearl in terms of like vested interest.
Yes, I would agree. I've got some thoughts on that as well. I just want to say shout out to Yankee Dave and your mom for hooking you up early, dude, because I didn't get my Game Boy Advance till I was in first grade, dude. My parents for the longest time were like, "You're not getting a game system. Like, you are not getting video games. Like, it's not gonna happen." And I had to scratch, I had to fight and claw, dude, for that Game Boy Advance. It was like my godmother, God bless her, she broke the dam and just gave me the Game Boy Color without even saying anything. Just like, didn't ask my parents nothing. I just showed up at my house. I had this Game Boy Color, dude. I was playing Pokemon Red, and my parents were like, "What the fuck? What is this?"
Dude, well, that's like the endless story of gaming for you, is like through all the years of us gaming and hanging out, it's like your family would just
filled with adversity.
Shut it down at every opportunity.
Many a time, guys. The router was unplugged. It's been a long road.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely one way to put it.
Long road for sure. But going back to where we stand on like the franchise as a whole, how deep we got into the franchise, I would say I had a pretty similar experience, but a little bit different at the same time. I played through Black and White. I played through all the games. Black and White 2, I did not complete. X and Y, I didn't complete. And Omega Ruby and Sapphire, I flaked out huge. I was super pumped, guys. I don't know about Joey, but I can firmly say Pokemon Advance definitely my favorite generation of Pokemon games. Gen 3, just right in that. We're always talking about sweet spots in Smash. Talk about a sweet spot in life, like right place, right time, dude. Pokemon Advance Gen 3, I was 8 years old, 2003, I believe that game came out, if I'm not mistaken. Either 2002 or 2003. I was 7 to 8 years old. It was right in the sweet spot. It doesn't get more centered than that. So that's my favorite gen.
I think I feel pretty similarly.
So I feel bad for flaking out on the.
We went to the midnight release together. We rolled up.
I played it one time, but by then it was my gaming was tainted. I used to derive enjoyment just from playing games like before online was a thing, before Xbox Live was a thing. I was playing Halo campaign. You would just play the campaign over and over again when your friends weren't over, when you weren't split screening with your boys. You know?
Yeah, you would take any moment just to literally play games.
And
like
that was the beauty of Pokemon. There was no ceiling. Like you were, what was your end goal? To fill up the National Pokedex, and that was thousands and thousands, catching every Pokemon available, thousands of hours of work.
Then leveling them up too, and going through the
them
game.
And don't even get me started on shinies, dude. I did fall into the
it's an
whole
endless
soft and hard
crusade.
resetting for shiny Pokemon. All right, do you have a shiny story? Any shinies that you've run into? I have a story that I'd like to share, but I'd like to see what shinies have you run into throughout all your years of playing Pokemon, any and all. What do you got? What's in the shiny
dude,
repertoire?
I wish I could come out hot with some great shiny stories, but the reality is, as a kid, I didn't actually really understand like my encounters with shinies, which is what's fucked up because an example, I remember seeing like a discolored Geodude as a kid, and I was like, man, that's weird. What's wrong with my game? And I like ran away. You know, I bypassed it. And before we even get into shinies, that's another big part about Pokemon. I feel like in a coming of age level is there was so much like local schoolyard lore around playing Pokemon, and shinies and understanding what shinies was something I didn't find out from the internet, which I was pretty early to. I was like looking up shit about games from a young age, you know. But you know, that was something I heard about from classmates and shit, and I was like, oh, that's what that is? That's why my Geodude was light blue, you know? Things like Deoxys, like the million ways that you can get Deoxys. All lore, all bullshit.
All that lore about how you could go to the moon and catch Deoxys, dude. Oh my god. Don't even get me started. I just want to say, fuck action replays.
Yeah, fuck action replays.
Action replays legitimately soured the Pokemon experience. It made it less real, less raw. I mean, you know, I felt so bad hustling for my Pokemon, and then that fucking kid, man, what was his name? Dan Yu would just show up.
From down the street.
He had his action replay. He had 999 rare candies, 999 Master Balls, 999 of anything he wanted, any Pokemon he wanted, and like, you know, the mystique was just gone.
Dude.
So fuck action replay. Fuck
for
your
real,
Game
and
Shark.
also action replays fucked up the game too. If you remember, particularly Gen 4, the Diamond and Pearl days, remember action replaying Pokemon a variety of things and then like glitching out your game?
Yeah.
That happened to me.
Ruining your cartridge. You had to get new games. It was like, you know, it was risky. It was risky business, and the payoff was some fake bullshit. I don't respect the action replay.
It was a flex for sure. It was like a power move to be like, yo, I'm the kid who's going to like.
You're 8 years old and this kid rolls up. He's got 999 Master Balls. You're like, yo, what do I got to do to get that? You know?
Yeah, straight up, dude.
Oh
dude,
man,
fucked up beyond belief. But hit me with your shiny story.
It did change the game. Okay, so shiny story, guys. I've wanted to run one shiny ever. This was in Pokemon Platinum. And this was far enough down the line where shinies, like, they were more of like an Easter egg. They were less established in the earlier generations of Pokemon, but this was Pokemon Platinum, so shinies were an established thing. There were shiny hunters, people hard resetting, soft resetting. For like when I say hard resetting, by the way, soft resetting. Just a quick rundown of what that means is you would like save in front of the Pokemon that you wanted. Right? If it was a legendary Pokemon like Kyogre, Groudon, any Pokemon that you'd have to walk right up to, Mewtwo, Mew, you get what I'm saying. Any Pokemon that you walk right up to, you would save in front of them. You would go talk to them, encounter them, and if they weren't shiny, you just shut your game off, and you try again, and you do that hundreds, sometimes thousands of times. Fun fact: I had over 1,300 resets on Groudon in Ruby, and I did not. I'm sorry, it was Kyogre. 1,300 resets on Kyogre, and I did not obtain the shiny Kyogre. It straight up never happened. I was super bummed about that, and I finally just gave up.
Amount of resets.
And I was too old. I was too old to be like, you know, dedicating that amount of time to resetting. I was like 17, 16 when I was doing this, so I just didn't have the time, and I was like, fuck this, I'm done. I'll live without my pink Kyogre. Anyhow, just went on a little bit of a tangent there. Pokemon Platinum, shiny Pokemon, they would show up and they would have this little animation, this little like star animation would come out when the Pokemon appeared. just so you know, like, something's up with this Pokemon. Just like, cause you can pass a Pokemon. I mean, like, if I'm not like an avid Pokemon player, I don't know every single color. Even if you put it in front of me without that animation, I might have trouble telling if a Pokemon is shiny or not. Like every single one. Maybe not most Pokemon, but there's a couple that would probably slip between the cracks, and I would just run away from and be like, oh, whatever, you know. But this was when the animation was a thing. So I run into a Coffagrigus. Guys, Coffagrigus is a ghost type Pokemon. So this Coffagrigus, I'm like, oh my god, like, this is the first shiny I've ever seen. I wasn't looking for it. I was just playing through the game. My first playthrough, I was like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Let me whip out my great ball and catch this bad boy. Whip out my great ball, throw it, no catch, bust out. No problem, whatever. What does Coffagrigus do? He uses Curse on itself. So Curse is a move that cuts the Pokemon's life by a third. I believe it was a third. It might be half. So he uses Curse, and the trade off is at the end of every turn after that you do X amount of damage to the enemy Pokemon. So he uses Curse, but I'm like, I see that and I start sweating a little bit. I'm like, oh man, like, this has the potential to get away from me, much like Suicune did, much like Entei did, much like Raikou did. Shout out to the 3 legendary dogs, by the way. Always eluding me in Pokemon Crystal. Anyways, so I'm like, oh shit, this Pokemon, like, the one shiny Pokemon that I ever encounter has the potential to just off itself right before my eyes. I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. It's gonna if it uses Curse again, it'll be at like whatever 25% or less life. I'll likely catch it with this great ball I have. It'd be what it be. So next turn rolls around, uses Curse again. I'm really sweating at this point. I'm like, oh my god, I need to catch this Pokemon right now, or else it's gonna slip away. I will have seen a shiny Pokemon and not caught it. And again, guys, this isn't. We're not talking about Let's Go Eevee / Pika shiny catch rates. This is when it was like 1 to thousands, very extremely rare. I know they're easier to catch now, but this is when it was extremely rare. So next turn rolls around, I'm like, man, I've got this great ball. I sure hope if I don't catch him here, he doesn't use Curse again, because he'll just die. I throw my great ball, busts out at the last one, busts out of the ball. And then he uses Curse on himself a third time and just kills himself. Vanishes before my very eyes. I was destroyed. I was absolutely destroyed. And after that, I was hell-bent on finding another shiny Pokemon. And never again. I haven't seen one since.
And also, time flies by, because it's like we said, you fall away from interest in the franchise, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah, as time progresses. I mean, like, this is when at 16, 17, 18, this is when, I had my hands on a gaming PC. We were flirting with different games like StarCraft, games like League of Legends, games like World of Warcraft, like, the games that we're going to talk about as we go through this podcast. So my interest dwindled because, online multiplayer, Xbox Live, PS2 online, all of these were like a thing now. So playing the campaigns over and over again, filling out my Pokedex, it became a little bit more bland over time. And albeit nostalgic, I would go back and do it every so often. That wasn't the sole thing that I derived my enjoyment from anymore. It was no longer just playing through campaigns. And I have to say, even to this day, RPG play has sort of been ruined for me. I can't enjoy it off stream or anything like that. I find myself getting bored. There has to be something else. There has to be people for me to play with, etc.
That competitive nature.
It's not that same wholesome, like, I'm playing this for the fun of it, for myself kind of deal. Now esports are a thing. Competition is real, and esports have been completely legitimized in the past couple years.
It affects everything. It infects everything, for that matter.
Infects everything.
But that's also a good segue, I'd say, to dive into the next block, which I think was going to be Halo 2 and 3, particularly. We're going to go into. Because
we can go wherever we want. We can talk about Halo. We can talk.
I think
Smash.
that's a
we can talk
good.
about League.
I want to go into Halo particularly because that was like our first online experience where we like. Well, technically, I ended up playing World of Warcraft before I played Halo, but WoW is like a whole different bullet to bite. So let's just touch on Halo because I feel like that might end up being a little quicker. Because the thing about Halo is neither of us got particularly good at it. We just played it a lot.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing about Halo. You could play it, and in particular, we're going to talk about Halo 3 because that was the game that you and I both have the most experience with. Halo 2, it was mostly split screen and
split screen campaign at your house.
Yeah,
nothing else, nothing more.
On the tube TV on the floor.
Straight up.
So we're gonna talk about Halo 3. This is when everyone and their mother had an Xbox 360 by the year 2007, right?
Yeah, around that ballpark, 2007, 2008.
What year did Halo 3 come out?
2008, I believe, or it might have been 2007. I might be wrong about that. All I know is I got my 360. I had friends who had Xbox 360s in 2007, and I got mine in 2008 because I was so obsessed with the idea of being able to play with everybody and play Halo 3, particularly with everybody. That was like the first game I got with my Xbox 2. I literally remember I used to have a tube TV where I'm sitting in my room recording this podcast right now, where my ass is on a chair was once a tube TV, and I remember setting up my Xbox 360 for the first time right where I'm sitting and shooing my dad out of my room so I could just go fucking play Halo all night.
And that was the beauty. You could literally it didn't matter if you were playing with friends. It didn't matter. You could just literally queue up Team Death Slayer. Sorry, I was gonna say Team Deathmatch. Pull a page out of Call of Duty's book, but you could literally just queue up Slayer, whatever game mode you wanted, and it was just there anytime, any place, and that was new. That was new to me. Like being able to play with anybody, anywhere. The Xbox Live party chats, dude. A lot of us, we cut our teeth in those Xbox Live lobbies, dude. We heard some crazy obscenities, some crazy
and not
TOS
to
violations.
Obviously, yeah, with TOS in mind, and also just being a good human in mind, would not repeat those things. But it definitely was a different time for shit talk in games, and good God, it was a vile time. Like those lobbies, those online lobbies, the things people would say, it was like truly testament to just like saying the most offensive things you come up with for shock value and just trying to like bulldoze through people's fucking comfortability with comedy.
Yes,
it really just like heinous
that
shit.
That absolutely shaped my sense of humor.
100% for worse. For total worse, it definitely
absolute
did.
Absolute worse.
Yeah. It's this weird thing because, I feel like people younger than us, a lot of the time, like genuinely have this like disbelief that was like the state of affairs and confusion, where it's like people like us in our 20s definitely needed to like adjust a little on our like humor just to like reel it in and be like, oh shit, I'm just actually saying something that's like pretty vile. Like we all needed to personally adjust, I think, a little bit, people our age, and people younger than us probably just, they wouldn't believe the things you'd hear. And
straight up,
I'm sure we also wouldn't believe the things that were going on in like OGCS lobbies and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff prior to our generation.
Anything in that era, anything prior, anything got going on over comms. I mean, guys, if those conversations are recorded, everybody's getting canceled. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, it really was just a godless land. No laws. No, you couldn't get banned for saying just a string, like 5-chain combo of hate speech at that time. And that's what you'd blow into a Slayer match, and that's what your teammate would say to you if you sucked. It was terrible.
Straight up.
I'm not defending it. It was just the reality of that time period, unfortunately.
And going back to that time period, I really did not care about winning or losing or anything. It was just, and I don't think that anybody else did either, winning their matches, their win-losses. It was more just like based on your own KD ratio. There was no ranked or anything like that that really mattered in Halo. Everyone would just queue up and then just a slew of debauchery and
debauchery is the word.
A slew of debauchery going on in the comms. Like it was just insanity.
For sure. And granted, for us, we were in middle school, like 7th grade is when we really were going hard. 6th and 7th grade is when we were going pretty hard on Halo. And you come home from school and you just hit a lobby with kids you knew from school who were totally mutual and not your friends at all.
Yeah.
But you'd all jump in and play like custom games and shit. It was just like the thing to do.
Straight up, that's in large part how we linked up with Mike, with Morazzo.
Real shit. Yeah. A very close friend of ours who
Xbox Live parties. He's now a brother, a friend for life, and that's pretty much where we set the table for our friendship. Now going on well over a decade, right?
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, him and I did baseball together, literally.
As did I with him.
But that's what really linked it up. Being in the same middle school and him just kind of like linking up there with that too.
Yeah.
It just like snowballed beyond that.
That's how he made his way to the lunch table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was setting the table for that relationship. Which is cool to think about. It's
100%.
It's crazy to think about how many relationships I've established just through gaming, just through hobbies, etc. Like almost all of my friends have been established that way.
For sure.
I would say like at least 60 to 70% of my personal relationships, the foundation in which they were built upon was a mutual interest in gaming, in hobbies, whatever it may be, whether it be TCGs. Video games themselves, etc.
For sure.
Which is really cool
also,
to think about.
I want to bring up, because worth noting, because we didn't really mention this, just for the sake of clarity, although we have chat active, obviously we're doing this on Twitch, we did say when we do a podcast like this, although we want to open up the floor to chat later, we just kind of want to like bulldoze through what we want to talk about, because this will be bumped as like an audio only thing post live broadcast. However, someone did just mention something in chat that's a good talking point for talking on Halo. Master Chief Collection coming to PC. That very well could be a renaissance for all the things we talked about.
Oh yes. That could be the renaissance. That could be the resurgence that Halo is looking for. It's the right place, right time for a game like the Master Chief Collection. The Master Chief Collection.
You have a whole world of players who play. Think about like what it was to be good at Halo, like what a professional, the level they played at with a controller in their hands. Give people the ability to play with a mouse and keyboard, and good God, like it's a whole new scene. It could bring,
for sure,
dude. It could be like fucking steroids into the arm of Halo in the same way that like we look at a game like Melee, persevering through tons of trials and still being a competitive game right now.
Yes.
Like this could just
honestly, it could be the shot in the arm that like if we're comparing it to the Smash franchise, I'm gonna piggyback off what you just said. It could be the shot in the arm that Ultimate was for Melee,
for sure.
Because Ultimate was undoubtedly a shot in the arm for Melee. It got eyes back on the product again. Although Melee had its own small cult following, I would say that Ultimate definitely just lit up the whole Smash franchise as a whole.
For sure.
And got it back into a competitive spot.
And inevitably eyes go to Melee.
Yes.
Now, before we actually, this would be a great segue to go into Smash, but since we're still on Xbox, I actually want to dive into Call of Duty, which you mentioned, which we both respectively made lists of top 10. Yeah, I was gonna say we both made like top 10 lists respectively. We're just kind of pulling from like shared games we noted. I personally didn't throw COD on my top 10. It was like an honorable mention because I played COD 4, I played World at War, and I played Modern Warfare 2. But I was a COD hater after a while.
Dude, he's bitch.
I was an absolute hater.
COD 4, COD Mod, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, two of the greatest to ever do it, dude. Steady aim RPD, stopping power, dude. You know what I'm talking about.
That was the game you play with.
You know.
You'd play that game with like cool kids at school. That's like what the game was.
Dude, me and Jake Bureau were getting our Red Tiger MP5s, dude. Red Tiger silencer MP5, dude. Golden guns. Dude, you had to hustle for those golden guns.
No, you had to hustle. 10th lobs. Let's get in the 10th lob, bro.
Dude.
Let's grind them out. It really was like
it's
that.
so crazy because I clocked like days and days and days on Call of Duty 4, and I never even got close to 10th Prestige. Bene did. Our friend
that makes
Alex,
so much sense.
Our friend Alex Bernardi, he made 10th Prestige, but like, dude, that game was so class. So many guns. Like, I don't remember many guns in any games, including Halo. Halo, I could list a couple guns, but Call of Duty, straight up, there were so many guns that were like influential, beautiful guns. Barrett 50 cal,
Barrett 50 cal. I put respect on Barrett 50 cal.
The birth of golden guns. Golden Guns were
Deagles, baby.
so fucking hyped, dude. You whipping out that Golden Desert Eagle. That was the originator of the flexed. That was
Dude,
like the first time.
It was.
Like people started flexing in games like League. Later on, they had their diamond portraits. They had like these perks for being high ranks. Like no, that was the OG. That was the OG flex, dude. I'm whipping out my Golden Deagle. I'm whipping out my golden AK-47. Yo, shout out to my boy Dan. I know he had that gold AK-47. And the thing is, every time you prestiged, you lost all your fucking drip.
Hard reset.
All your drip, dude. It's like everyone would have all their golden guns, and people would be like, "Yo, are you gonna prestige?" And then you'd be like, I don't know, bro. I don't want to lose my golden guns.
It was the most drastic trade-off. It was like, yo, we're going to give you a slightly different emblem, and you're going to lose all your progress and start over.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a crazy trade. But that gave the prestiges so much respective value. Like, that made them, like prestiging fucking meant something, because everyone put respect on the idea that you're just throwing away all your shit for it. Like, it meant a lot in a bizarre way.
Dude, I mean, I prestiged once. I was a first prestige, second prestige tops. But yeah, I mean, that game was class. So many classic maps. We're talking Shipment. We're talking Kill House. Creek. Yo, Creek was one of my favorite shooter maps of all time.
Creek was sick. I fucked with Creek.
You get that ghillie suit on. Oh, my ghillie suit.
I remember.
You already know what I'm talking about.
I straight up remember playing on that map with you. You and I were on a team, and I think Dan was in that same game.
And Jake Bureau was on the opposite team.
Jake Bureau and Brendan Simpson, all these kids from our middle school.
We were camping the house with that steady aim RPG.
We were camping the house,
and we were so close to winning because that Jake Bureau was really good at Call of Duty.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
He was like really good. This was when Jake Bureau was fat before he was ripped, and he was just stupid good at COD. He like played COD all day, and he was teaming with Dan. Brendan Simpson wasn't in this lobby, but he was teaming with Dan, and we had such a sweaty match with them, and we were just camping in that house, dude, all day
I remember hiding in the fucking closet of that house.
All day
just
long.
Like posted up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, steady aim RPDs and everything. I'm telling you. And that's another thing. You would go through phases with different guns you loved. It was a trip, dude. I'm saying if you're not putting that in your top 5, you're bugging, man. You're not remembering things right. Look, I know you hate Call of Duty, but come on.
Top 5? I don't know about that, dude.
No, I'm saying top 10. Top 10. Minus
top 10. Maybe I'll scrape my top 10.
Yo, shout out to Overgrowth and shout out to Pipeline. These map names are popping into my head as we go. Overgrowth and Pipeline, 2 great maps. Oh my god, dude. I don't remember nearly as much about Modern Warfare 2, though.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Modern Warfare 2. I remember we went to. I don't even know if I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the chat right now because he was watching the tournament last night. But we played Modern Warfare 2 for the first time at Troy's house. We picked it up, and it was like you, me, Harold, Troy, and Glenn. And we went in Troy's basement and played Modern Warfare 2.
Not me. I got Modern Warfare 2. I remember it. I was in Greek school at the time.
I could have sworn you were there.
I got it the night of, dude. I got it the night of, and I remember specifically, I did not have school the next day. I did not have school the Wednesday after, and I played it all fucking night. We were in like 8th grade or 9th grade.
Yeah, that was like 8th grade. But that's also why I fell off. At that point, I just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
In my I played a little bit of Modern Warfare 2, and you know what? I remember what happened because we were in the 8th grade. I had no money. Maybe this is like what spoiled the whole franchise for me. My Modern Warfare 2 disc got scratched, and I couldn't play it, and I didn't want to fucking buy another.
Was it
because they started making thinner discs.
Yes. And it would burn a ring into the disc, right? The Xbox would burn a ring into the disc, and then it would render it unreadable.
Yes, exactly
like,
what
the fuck, my $60. Like, what happens?
Burned. Just destroyed. $60 out the window within 2 weeks of getting the game, and I never bought another one because I was in 8th grade, and $60 is like fucking a G at that time in my life, you know?
Yeah. You know,
like that.
If we're talking about Call of Duty, we'd really be remiss not to mention Call of Duty World at War.
Well, dude, I was going to say, because Nazi zombies.
Nazi fucking
that was the whole game.
Zombies, dude. Nazi fucking zombies.
Dude, that shit was crazy. That was like on some like Halo custom game shit.
That was some Halo Infect shit, bro. It was dude. Those custom Halo lobbies. Shout out to them, by the way. Amazing. No game had better custom lobbies than Halo.
No, to date, games need to like take a fucking hint from that game.
Straight up.
In terms of that shit.
Take some notes.
But for real, that World of War definitely I mainly played it for Nazi Zombies, but I
Yes,
gotta give it some
everybody.
love, man.
World at War was good. The Nazi Zombies mode was good enough to pay the $60 for the game itself. I very rarely played online. I was not a fan of Call of Duty games that weren't set to take place in the modern era. I like the modern guns. I do not like duking it out with rifles and shit like that. I wasn't. I was never a fan of those games. I mean, I played the original Call of Duty on the original Xbox, and that was in that era. I believe that was set in like the 1940s, World War II era. And like, you know, I enjoyed that one, but I also exclusively played campaign for it. I never played online. But yeah, dude, Call of Duty ultra legendary in my book. It's a can't miss franchise.
All right, I agree with that.
We should move on to another game. You want to talk about Smash? You want to talk about League? You want to talk about World of Warcraft?
Let's do World of Warcraft, because that, again, I like a lot of these titles. World of Warcraft is an absolute disgusting rabbit hole of a conversation. And with that in mind, let's be mindful of that and try and keep this with some level of brevity. Because we can literally sit there and talk about World of Warcraft for 5 hours.
We could do multiple podcasts about World of Warcraft, like,
yeah.
exclusively.
So let's lay this out easy. Let's go back and forth and just start with what our introduction to the game was, when we got it, and a little bit of that like vanilla era, BC era nostalgia. Let's start with that, because again, there's a million places we could take this.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
You can go first.
All right. So my introduction to World of Warcraft was actually our friend group, because I had bought I was playing RuneScape and I was playing MapleStory, and my dad came into my room one day and said, "What are those?" And I said, "They're MMORPGs. You make a character and you play them online with people." And he said, "Oh, I know what that is. You got to try this game EverQuest." So my dad comes home the next day with a copy of EverQuest 2, which as a father is just an irresponsible thing.
I wish my dad would have been like, "Hey, what are you playing?" And then coming home with new games. My dad would be like, "Get the fuck off the computer!"
Because EverQuest was the original, like, that game is not good for you game. So the fact that he went out and bought that game of all games for me, I mean, EverQuest 2 sucked, but still, the fact that an EverQuest game was what was purchased for me is fucking psychotic. But I get EverQuest 2. I start playing EverQuest 2 on his laptop when he goes to bed, because he uses it for work during the day. And then I mentioned it to, like, you, our friend Kyle, and our friend Bene, and I'm like, "Hey man, I'm playing this EverQuest game, it's pretty sick." And immediately I'm bombarded with, "What the fuck are you doing? You gotta play World of Warcraft." And at that point, you didn't even have World of Warcraft yet. I'm not gonna spoil how you got introduced to the game, but you weren't even in your hands yet. But me, Alex, and Kyle begin this endless fucking grind of playing vanilla World of Warcraft, making new characters, going through starting zones, saying, "Fuck it, I don't want to play this. Let's all make another character of the same class," and just starting over again. We literally would get together at Alex's house in like 5th grade, and we'd sit down on his spare computer, and we would make the same character of the same class and just grind out the first 6 to 10 levels. Like, "Oh, I don't want to play on this character anymore." Or I'd be like, "I don't want to play on this character anymore." And we would just start again collectively from the bottom. Just a mess of a time.
Absolutely. Is that it? May I go?
That's the floor. I could go on for days, so I'm gonna pass it off.
That's the floor. Okay, so my introduction to World of Warcraft was a little bit different. My cousin Dylan, he was a World of Warcraft fanatic, and I met him at a family friend's house, and he was I met him later because my uncle ended up, you know, he was dating a new person who he's still dating now, like over a decade later, and this was the first time I was meeting my cousin Dylan, and I met up with him, and we both liked the same shit, video games. So, you know, we were, you know, doing what 10 and 11-year-olds do, shooting the shit about, you know, video games. And I'm gassing up RuneScape, I'm like, "Oh yeah, RuneScape's the shit, blah, blah, blah. The wild, people run around in the wild and fight each other and loot each other. It's so sick." And he's like, dude, trust me. He's like, "Have you ever heard of World of Warcraft?" And he puts me on, he gives me the background. Me and him used to have hours-long conversations just about World of Warcraft lore, because that's how fleshed out it is. Guys, if you don't play World of Warcraft, and you're unfamiliar with the lore, don't even play the game. The lore in itself is worth it to read, even if you don't play the game.
excellent storytelling. The game in its current state, I don't know.
So he's like a couple years older than me, so he's gassing it up to me. I'm a wide-eyed kid just listening to this, and I go home and I'm like, okay, I have a Dell computer from 1999. It's well over a decade old, and I'm immediately like, I'm trying to download the free trial on my computer, and I'm like, oh man, like how am I gonna play this game? It's $15 a month. I don't have a credit card. Like, how am I gonna do this? And first of all, it didn't work on my Dell computer. Let me just say that. But my dad did have a laptop, so I was pestering, begging and pleading my parents, please let me get this game. I want it so bad, and my parents were hitting me with that no, you're gonna get addicted bullshit. That addicted. Little did I know how right they were. No, you're gonna get addicted. You're gonna play it all day. People go to rehab for these games. Blah blah blah. Finally, shout out to the priest. Shout out to the former priest at Port Jeff Church of Assumption. I used to go to church all the time. I'm no longer
by force, which was a bargaining method with your family.
Yes, yeah, it stays a bargaining method. This I'm hardwired now because I agreed to go to church April 26th. By the way, fun fact. For Easter. Anyways, off topic. My priest, he played WoW, and shout out to Father Demetrios. He was very cool, very ahead of his time, and the best priest I ever had. He was also a gamer, and he was like, I was like, Father, like, I was an altar boy at the time. I was like, he was like, because I would talk to him about WoW and stuff and how I wanted to play, and I was like, Father, like, you gotta convince my parents, like, you gotta talk to my mom and dad. You gotta talk to my mom and dad. Like, you gotta convince them to let me get it. And he did. And he played a level 70. Funny. The priest played a level 70 priest at the time.
Of course.
So
as these things go.
So or a level 60 priest, whatever it was in vanilla WoW. It was 60. Level cap was 60 in vanilla WoW. So he convinces my parents, and my parents are like, fine, we'll do it, but you're gonna have parental controls. And this was I don't even know if parental controls was a thing.
I remember.
If parental controls is a thing now. Back then,
they certainly were a thing.
I know we were both victimized by parental controls.
Yeah.
So back then I had those parental controls, and they were like, fine, you're gonna have parental controls. You're gonna be able to play for an hour and a half every day, 90 minutes. When you get home from school, 3 to 4:30, and then you got to do your homework, and then that's it. So, like, at the time, I was like, fine, whatever it be, like, I'll fucking take it. It's better than nothing. They put it on their credit card, they set it up, and I started getting my fix. It was like, but it was deceiving because parental controls, like, it was good for limiting my time as a kid. Like, it was a good strategy by my parents. But it also made me crave the game.
Exactly. Made you want to play more.
Those hours that were set as my parental controls, nothing was interfering with those hours. Nothing would come in between me. Like, somebody could be dying in the middle of the street, and I'd be like, no, it's WoW time. Like, this is my only time to get it. You know? And for that reason, fuck parental controls. My kids will never have parental controls if I have them.
Oh, yeah, never. It actually... It made me want to play the game more, and I remember there was one point in time where my parental controls my dad would like extend them on like school breaks and stuff. So like I remember he moved Wednesday from 12 a.m. cutoff, or like 10 a.m. cutoff rather, to 3 a.m. And when he went to fix the settings again, he ended up not setting Wednesday back particularly. So every Wednesday of pretty much like a 6-month period of a school year, I would play till 3 a.m. every Wednesday night. And the rest of my week would be back to normal. But no matter what, I was up till 3 every Wednesday night because I could. Yeah. And it's like you said, that time was paramount.
Dude,
like, what am I going to do? Not fucking play?
You found little loopholes. That's the thing. Like, I would hit up my mom. I would hit up my mom. She had just got home from work. If my mom was in a good mood, I'd be like, hey, Mom, like, I'm really close to hitting level 50. That was the highest level I got in vanilla, was 51. On my paladin, Iamspanos. I'd be like, hey Mom, I'm really close to hitting this level. Can you just like give me a half hour more today? And she would go do it, and then I would be like, okay, thanks, and then I would just like, she would leave, and then I would just turn them off, and I would just like, you know, play whenever I wanted, and they were like, you're definitely like, those definitely aren't the hours we said, but it wasn't enough to have them like go back and change them. Finally, I quit World of Warcraft. We quit World of Warcraft for about what, a year?
Yeah, around that. Sometime in the middle of BC.
Yeah, and we quit until Wrath of the Lich King came out, because it was this whole thing where everyone was like, this whole, like, we were kind of buying into it. We were like, oh my god, we're all addicted. Like, we need to stop. This is like a legitimate drug. Blah,
It
blah,
was
blah.
literally a narrative amongst our whole friend group.
Yeah, and it spread like wildfire. Everyone quit simultaneously. Oh, fuck WoW, it's a drug, blah, blah, blah.
I cried at my dinner table telling my parents that I was quitting World of Warcraft, and that I told them all about how I was addicted, and I was sobbing at dinner.
And they were just like, we're addicted though. You were leaving hour-long, fucking 20-minute long messages on the answering machine about how you wouldn't be able to make it on tonight. Like, you were infamous for that. Ask anybody that played with us. You were infamous for the 20-minute long messages.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I would call the house phone and I would just like drop a bomb on your answering machine.
Shout out to the house phone. There were many times where we interrupted Yankee Dave's conference calls and shit, because this was before Skype was a thing, or at least before we knew about it. We would grab, you know, the wireless phone and just put it on speaker, and that was Discord for us.
Yeah, straight up. Or we would connect with like Kyle's, like, his work line. So I would call Kyle's house phone, and then his work line would call Bene, and we'd have a 3-way call, leaving one of those on speaker.
The hoops we would jump through to make it happen. Like, it was awesome. It was some DIY shit. It makes me smile.
No, it was a good time. It was 100% a good time.
And like back in those days, man, World PvP and WoW was a thing. So the mystique of like, oh, we're all questing together. We re-rolled tunes for whatever amount of time. We re-rolled. We're all like level 20, level 10. We're in the Barrens. Oh God, here's a mob of allies to come ravage us. And then we'd be like, okay, it's payback time. Let's go to the Abor line. Let's go slaughter the Draenei.
That's level 10.
And then we'd hit up Exodar, dude. We'd be like, okay, don't aggro any of the guards, because we're gonna get one shot.
Walk around the wall, die a million times, and respawn away from the guards.
Just to get
do the same shit.
Shot,
go to Westfall.
Just to get one shot at Velen. Years later, with a party of 10, we would kill Velen. By the way.
Yeah, it's crazy how time flies, and that's the thing. Because this is such again, we literally could do a podcast just talking about World of Warcraft alone. So what I will say is, before this goes off the rails, I think I'm just gonna try and summarize. Wrath of the Lich King comes, we both play, we pick up the game again with level heads on our shoulders and say, hey, we're not addicted to this game, we just like playing it a lot. Because, I mean, yeah, we were addicted, but it's like, when you commit to the narrative of being addicted.
We were old enough to be like, fuck it. You know?
Yeah, we're old enough to be like, fuck it, and go, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm just going to log off. I'm good. Every now and then, you know? Like, we had that self-control. We liked hanging out with each other as friends more than playing WoW at that point.
Yeah.
So that would take priority. But Wrath of the Lich King comes. That's like all of our respective first shots at raiding. I remember doing things like PP 25-man heroic, sitting next to Bene at his house. There are tons of nostalgic stories. But Wrath of the Lich King, although it changed the landscape of, like, I guess, like, what WoW was, for, you could argue, better or worse, it set up years and years of us playing the game to come. The game we fell in love with and raided in and continued to play changed, and we just played the adapted versions. We all respectively played almost every expansion to follow to some degree. You went harder than anybody else in terms of raiding. You went ballistic. You started a guild, led the guild, actually made some, like, competitive progression. But all in all, to, like, put the cap on World of Warcraft, the early days were just, like, to this day, some of the craziest just nostalgia moments of gaming, I think, in any of our lives, you know?
Easily, WoW could easily be placed at the top of the list, right up there with Pokemon. Pokemon, I think, is at the top because it's a game that specifically has to do with our early years. Pokemon set the table. You know what I'm saying? Pokemon,
for sure.
They set the table for what was to come.
So to actually a good bounce back, to kind of go back in time a little more, another game I think we should shoot over to right now is the Star Fox franchise, a controversial franchise at that we both dearly loved and still love for that matter.
If you guys take one look at this channel, it is plastered everywhere having to do with it with Star Fox and the Star Fox franchise.
Yeah, it really was like the next love to follow Pokemon, I think, respectively for both of us, because we both had gotten GameCubes and you had an N64, and I've talked about this quite a bit actually, like leading up to doing this podcast. When Spanos and I were children, like literal children, second graders, we would go into his parents' room and sit in front of this old fucking shitty brown tube TV that just barely had RCAs, and we'd plug the N64 into there, and we would take turns playing through Star Fox 64. In like a 5-hour like hangout session, we would both play through the game once, and that would be that. And then we'd be done hanging out and go home. Mm-hmm. And we did that multiple times.
Yeah, and just commentate on each other's experience. Because in Star Fox 64, it was a map that went like this. It went in a circle, and you could either choose to go to the left side of the circle all the way to Andros or the right side to Andros. They both ended with Andros, right? Two alternate.
Yeah, they both ended with Andros.
So, man, oh man, the Star Fox franchise. It was the first game that made me like feel something. I truly felt connected with the characters in that game, because for me, I missed the boat on the Zelda franchise and those RPGs. You know, I didn't play Ocarina of Time. I probably should go back and experience the Zelda franchise. It's just
I agree with that.
I'm not that wide-eyed kid anymore, you know. So it might hit differently for me now as a 23-year-old adult than it would, you know,
as a child. Yeah, 100%.
As a 5, 6, 7-year-old, whatever I may, 8-year-old, whatever I may be, you know. And that's one of those things where I wish I had a time machine. I could just go back and play what should have been played.
Yeah, I feel that way.
But going back to Star Fox. Going back to Star Fox, that was the first game that really made me feel so. I cared about Slippy. I cared about Peppy, Blue Barrel.
Peppy.
I cared about Peppy. I cared about Falco. I cared about all these characters. I hated the villains. I was invested.
Oh, yeah.
I was invested in that game.
Pigma? Fuck Pigma.
Fuck Pigma.
Yeah, dude. They were the fucking. They were as evil in my life as anything else. Yeah, any person I didn't like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we can call Star Fox an RPG? It's kind of like an arcade style RPG, you know.
Yeah, I'd say so. But also that's why Adventures, which I think at least was my favorite title in the whole franchise, was like so controversial because it became this like more you know, world explorer RPG dinosaur world game that was like a huge 180 from the previous title. And so many people hated on Adventures, man. So many people think that game sucks, and which is insane to me because if you gave it a chance, it's an incredible RPG.
Incredible. And it was a huge step up. I mean, the GameCube in general was a huge step up in terms of graphics. It was a real shot in the arm the GameCube was a shot in the arm for the Nintendo franchise. I mean, obviously, the N64 was the fire starter, and the original Nintendo was largely successful as well. But the GameCube was like, nah, really, everybody needed to have one. If you didn't have a GameCube, I don't know what you were doing. I remember when I got my GameCube, it was like, it was the craziest. Christmas 04. I didn't have a GameCube until 2004. I think it came out in like 2002.
That sounds right. 2001, 2002.
Because like I wanted one, and again, it was like a series of obstacles to get one. It was like my parents were like, "No, it's gonna ruin the TV." You know, that bullshit. Oh, it's gonna wear out the TV. This, that, anything they could to avoid me from getting more games, they would try it. But eventually, I after quite literally years of asking, I would get it on a big event like my birthday or Christmas, and Christmas 04. I remember this was when my cousin Steve was still living with me, and we shared a room at the time, and I opened up my GameCube at like 6 in the morning, whatever it was, and I hauled it to my room and I threw it at him. I threw the box at him, and I'm like, "Isn't it beautiful?" Like,
oh my god,
I was so happy. I was a wide-eyed kid, man. It was straight up magic. That year I got both a GameCube and Unicron.
Unicron, I had the Unicron too.
Shout out to Unicron, man. I probably don't have him anymore. He's probably gone. He probably got thrown out. But dude, Unicron, like, to me, those were the two top gifts, and I would have been happy if I got either of them, and I got both. Shout out to my godmother for coming in clutch with the Unicron figure.
For real shit. Respect to Unicron.
Respect.
And all worth noting, as we are still in the Star Fox franchise, Star Fox Assault, very emotional game.
I
Because
don't remember
that just
as much of Assault because I didn't clock nearly
it
as many
drove the
hours.
story of Adventures further, and you
Yes.
just got reinvested in all these characters that were like distant. Like an example, Falco was like a distant guy in Adventures, and now he's back in the squad in Assault. He's like your boy again, and there are things like Peppy sacrificing himself and shit,
Oh,
which I
dude.
think ended up at a later date.
I definitely shed a tear when Peppy bit the dust.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was tearing up as a kid. Like it's straight up like that was a knife to the gut. But it took all the finer points of like Star Fox 64 and Star Fox Adventures and said, hey, let's do them together, and we're gonna add like a component of like combat and battle, with the split screen mode it added.
100%. It was the next level up. It was the appropriate sequel to Adventures. Definitely the appropriate sequel, and it leveled up the game and the franchise in all the ways that it needed to stay relevant.
For sure. And I think the games that followed it, that one for DS and Zero, I think it was called, they didn't really catch me in the same way, but I still love the franchise, and I think a console like the Nintendo Switch that we both have talked, at length on how much we love the Switch and how much of a renaissance it's been for console gaming for the both of us. But I think the Switch would be a perfect destination for a new Star Fox title that would knock it out of the park.
I think it's an inevitability.
I would hope so.
I think we'll see one within the next 3 years. I think the Switch has many more years to come. I don't know if something's in development.
I think we're on Switch ground. Switch is gonna be like Xbox 360 life cycle shit. That shit's gonna be a long time.
I mean, the versatility of the console, it's just perfect. It's just perfect. You have that mobile aspect to it, and then you also have the straight up the console aspect where you just hook it up to the TV, you play with all your friends the same way we do until 4 or 5 in the morning, 3 to 5 days a week.
Right straight now. Up. That's what our life is. Which is a literal perfect segue, I think, to talking about Smash, which, much like World of Warcraft, because it's such a recent, important part of our lives and long-term part of our lives, let's tread lightly as we dive into this, because we could so easily talk about this game for, hours and hours and hours and hours. I guess, much like World of Warcraft, to be safe to say, what was our introduction to Smash, childhood, affiliation, and then maybe talk about the current? That sound like a good way to tackle that?
Sounds good.
All right. You want to go first or me?
Sure, I'll go first. Okay, so again, I had no consoles at this point. I was 4 years old. My friend Harrison, however, Harrison Hahn,
I remember Harrison. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, Harrison. We're still homies to this day. Ultra talented pianist, by the way. Super musically gifted. Sorry. Anyways. He had an N64, and he had a killer basement with a drum set in it, and a big ass couch and an N64 and a TV. So right out, and a bunch of fucking games. So one of the games that we played the most, we played a couple of games, but the game head and shoulders that we played the most that I couldn't get enough of was Super Smash Brothers. So this was Smash 64. I would play it every time I went. I played Link because I thought he was the coolest. I had no idea who Link was in the Nintendo franchise. I had never played I had never played a Zelda game. I didn't know shit about shit. But I picked up Link because I thought he looked cool. He had a sword. And he just looked cool to me. I don't know. And
I was literally thinking cool guy with a sword.
And
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, cool guy with a sword. Cool guy with a sword. That's what Link was, and I was like, boom, I'm on it. So pick up Link, we're playing, I don't know anything about anything, and he is just styling on me endlessly with Star Fox. And in the back of my mind, thinking about it now, like this might be what caused me to pick up Star Fox in the later games. I was like, man, that Star Fox is pretty badass, pretty good. And I would go and I would, like, when I got the game later on, I would go play him behind closed doors. And I would be like, oh man, this character's so fast. He's so much faster than Link. I can do things so much quicker. I can damage my opponent quicker, and this is what happens to me when I play. So I'm just going to be a Star Fox man. So I switched over to Star Fox. I eventually got an N64 when I was in the first grade. It was my third console after the Game Boy Advanced. And then, of course, once I got my GameCube, my cousin Steve, he knew all about it. he hooked me up with that Smash Bros. Melee, and
The hookup.
That's when shit really started getting crazy. Fox translated from N64 over to Melee, and everybody who plays Melee knows how crazy Fox is in that game. And I just and that was it. Like, the love was developed very early. It might have been the first game I ever played. It's either that or Pokemon Red. I would probably say it was that game first. But yeah, that's my Smash story. That's how I got affiliated. Once I could talk for hours about Melee and everything that occurred from there on, and then later on, obviously, the now Ultimate. But I'm pretty sure our friendship was formed off of the foundation it was built upon was off of Melee.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was going to play Melee.
If I'm not mistaken, I thought you were a huge loser in second grade because you were the new kid.
You did exactly that.
Me and Cole Defeat would give you the roast
all that the time. You did, dude.
All that. Yeah, Joey thinks he's cool, but he's really not. And we would just talk shit to you and about you. You were highly uncool in those first couple months.
It's true. I was just hated for being new to an elementary school. I was hated for moving 5 minutes away from where I previously lived, which is psychotic.
You came from Mount to Nassau, and everybody in our second grade class, Miss Oppenheim's class, hated you for no fucking reason.
It was fucking psychotic.
So,
and then you, me, and Kyle all got into playing games together.
Yeah, well, Kyle didn't come into the picture until the following year in third grade. He thought
third grade is when we really became boys.
He has been cited in saying he thought we were both just fucking idiots.
Still play with Bionicles at recess with us, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, shout out to Bionicles.
He'd still hit it, bro.
He was a guest star in second grade, and then in third grade, that's when the gang really, the roots of the gang, like the roots of the fam, our friend group, really, they started to sprout in third grade. In third grade, I was on the same soccer team as Bene and Dan and that. And then you and then Kel, and then I became friends with Kel in third grade because he was in my class, and everyone else was too cool to be friends with. That class was stacked, dude. That class was like Jake Bureau, Matt Samini, like Pat Rorty. Every single cool kid in the school was in that class, and then it was just me and Kel. And
pretty fucked up when you think about it.
We straight up were like, yeah, dude, everyone in this class is too cool for us. You want to just be friends, and then that was it. But that was a tangent I just went off on.
A fair tangent to have, if there ever was one.
Back to
Smash.
Back to Smash, and back to how we became friends over it was you were in art class. You were drawing, I think it was Marth. You were drawing some Smash shit, and I was like, holy shit, you play Smash? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, wait, do you play Pokemon too? And you were like, yeah, dude, I love Pokemon. And then that was it. And
it was game over.
It was game over right there. I came over your house, we played Smash in the office, and that was, and now we're here. So
yeah, straight up. Here we are all this time later. That really was like end game for that.
So shout out to Smash. Without Smash Brothers, shout out to Smash. Without Smash, the fan might not exist. Straight up.
Yeah, straight up.
Take that, Harold.
Yeah, I owe our friend group largely to Smash. I can't even say that's not the case. Smash as an introduction point for me, I played it at Tom O'Toole's house because he used to live across the street from me. Basically my childhood best friend, aside from my best friends that I have now. And I'd go over there and play N64 with him and his siblings at his house. And that was just Smash 64. And then when I got a GameCube in that same relative timing, I obviously started playing Melee. But the thing worth noting, I think, there isn't much else to like the background that hasn't already been said. Our childhood interest in N64, then we get Melee, and the rest was history type shit. But it is worth noting that in terms of Melee, we played it and dabbled on and off through the years, respectively. Brawl, Melee.
It was always a safe game to pick up at any time when you were with your friends. Like, you could always play it and get enjoyment. Always.
For sure. But what I more so want to, I guess, like, note is that although we obviously all continued to play it throughout the years at some level of casual interest, we never got competitively interested in Smash, and really until Smash Ultimate. Some of our friends dabbled in Melee and Project M, but like our hard interest in the game, like beyond just a beloved franchise, is relatively recent.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, like, look, this whole Twitch channel that I have is the foundation, what it's based off. The community is built on Super Smash Brothers Ultimate exclusively. And I think there's a reason for that. I think Smash, gamers take to Smash like fish to water. It's
a special franchise.
It's maybe the most special franchise Nintendo has, straight up. I'd
agree with that.
It might be the most unique, special title that they have at the moment, or ever of all time. Smash Ultimate was just like it was a shot in the arm. It was a shot in the arm to the Smash franchise. It got new eyes on every single game, because when you're watching one Smash game, when you're watching Genesis 6, you're watching all the games. You're watching Melee, and you're like, holy shit, like, these are games from my childhood. I love these, and my God, look, 180,000 people are watching these games on Twitch. Like, this game, Smash, 20 years later, Melee, 64, they're still relevant.
Yeah, it's still living and breathing, and continues to grow, even for that matter,
which is
insane.
Testament to the longevity and the legendary status of the game. And I would say Melee obviously has legendary status.
For sure, unquestionably.
But Smash Ultimate, this might be an unpopular opinion, but Smash Ultimate, and I could lump this, fighting games in general. I actually think they're the most spectator-friendly esports. I think they're the easiest to consume. I mean, you and I talked about it before. It's so easy to get into Smash. Anybody can pick up the controller. I used to play Smash 64 with my grandmother, with Yaya.
That's pretty insane.
So
respect to Yaya.
Straight up, Yaya, ill Donkey Kong main. Straight up.
That's fucked up to think.
I know you love Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's fucking evil.
Yeah, she was playing Donkey Kong with me at my uncle's in Smash 64. But
that's pretty fucking crazy.
And that's just a testament. My 70, 80 plus year old grandmother can just pick up the controller, and even she wants to play. It's like,
yeah, give it a shot.
That's the game, because you see what's going on. It's literally like the most basic, bare bones. Like, that's it. That's Smash. That's why Smash has achieved legendary status, because anybody and everybody knows it, or if they don't know it, they can get into it very easily.
For sure.
Fighting games in general, like, it's very easy to see what's going on. It's very easy to understand what's happening. One person is fighting another. You know what I mean? And
for sure.
And there's really nothing else to it. Obviously, frame data, there's a million subtle intricacies that go into these games, but at a grassroots level, like at a
absolute face value,
you can watch it, you can enjoy it, you can understand what's going on, as opposed to a game like League of Legends or a game like Dota, where you really need to be a player to understand what's going on. And you know what?
For sure.
Dota and League of Legends and all these games that are huge, that get insane viewership, that require knowledge, like, that's a testament to how good those games are, is that there's that many players who are also not just interested in playing, but watching as well. That's a testament to how good those games are.
I definitely agree with that.
But fighting games,
no questions there.
At an entry level, at an absolutely face value level, are I think the easiest to consume, the easiest, and an uncapitalized market in the esports world. Traditionally, fighting games, they don't get much viewership outside of big tournaments. You know what I mean? Outside of like Genesis 6, like even Smash Super Major, Smash very rarely. Smash like Ultimate, it sits more often than not. Smash Ultimate does not, unless there's a big major tournament going on, does not go above 10K viewers on Twitch.
It stays pretty modest in the viewership.
Yeah. And fighting games in general as a whole are a pretty modest community. Of course, it can get lucrative when a tournament like Genesis 6 is going on, but it doesn't have that steady, huge viewership that games like League of Legends, Dota, Fortnite, etc., to name a few.
For sure.
There's more. That those games maintain that, like, six-figure viewership. Hundreds of thousands of people watching.
I definitely agree with your sentiments about how easy it is to pick up on games like that. I'm not sure I would put fighting games ahead of like certain shooter titles in terms of being receptive to like for like non-educated players, because just as easy it is to see someone fighting and see that back and forth, it's also kind of easy to go, man, this dude's killing a lot of people and not dying in certain shooter titles. But even Fortnite, you know, like that's like the McDonald's of games right now, really easy to pick up on. At a competitive level, even that's not so easy to follow with all the building and shit and the type of scenarios that they're, I guess, like forcing into a game like that right now. You know, someone who doesn't know what's going on might watch that and go, yeah, I watched someone kill someone there, but like he also fucking built up a fortress on a mountain, on the side of a mountain,
like,
with a jetpack and shit. You know, it's like there's other components that make it a little trickier to consume than like watching like a good Call of Duty player play competitively. You're like, all right, I clearly understand this guy's good and just did something crazy, even though I'm not playing the game.
Yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm. For
sure. But it's similar in that regard.
It's just like, you know, I go back to citing my grandmother, you know, wanting to pick up the controller and play Smash 64 with me. That's somebody who was born in the 1930s wants to play this game. They have like no idea what's going on, and it's that easy. It's that easy. That's the thing about these fighting games, you know.
Easy to pick up, hard to master for certain.
Yes, extremely high skill ceiling. Fighting games, really high skill ceiling.
Endlessly high skill ceilings.
And it's, like I said, a million different subtle intricacies about the game. You can never, there is no such thing, I believe, as a perfect, you know, fighting game player.
I can definitely agree with that, I'd say. But I think that's where we should probably cap off Smash for now.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because otherwise we just dive into recent stories about sitting in your den like a cave and just playing until 5 a.m. every night, which there are plenty of, but I think we should
I'm going to say one thing
forward.
before we conclude our Smash. Smash Ultimate is going to be a revolutionary and a influential title, especially for the younger generation. The game, it's going to be like Melee, but better, in a word. Like it's gonna have more longevity. It's gonna get more mileage. Because now we're introduced to things like DLC is available, and also 76 playable characters versus however many there were, not too much over 20 in Melee, right?
Yeah, 20 something. I don't remember the exact count. Someone in chat, let us know.
The game has so many maps, so much to do, spirit mode, this, that, and there. There's just so many more layers on this iteration of Smash. The game is just going to get so much mileage. I'm excited to see where Smash Ultimate is at 10 years from now. Because how do they follow up a title like Smash Ultimate? When will they follow up a title like Smash Ultimate? I don't know if they will. I think
God fucking knows,
I think they could just leave it as Smash Ultimate, and they could keep patching it, keep adding as long as they want.
Yeah, you know? Just port it, honestly.
Straight up.
But with that in mind, I agree with all those sentiments. Another game I want to push on to from our list is an interesting one because it has a lot more like out of gaming real life implication. Guitar Hero is a game we both went pretty hard on that kind of did a lot more for our lives than I think we think.
Yeah, agreed. Especially yours. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Joey is like very involved in I would say like a couple different music scenes. I mean, specifically obviously hardcore. But you're a tour manager?
Like hardcore metal stuff like that. I tour manage for a band called for a band called Band I'm wearing a hoodie for. I'll tour manage for them a lot, and I'll do merch for them. I tour with them pretty much year round, and then I also play in a band called Typecast, and we tour a lot and do stuff of that sort. I've always just been touring and booking shows and doing stuff of that sort, and just been involved with music both local and abroad and stuff like that. That's literally all I do when I'm not doing shit like this. But all that is really rooted, I think, in playing Guitar Hero because that's what made me want to play an instrument.
Yeah,
like, which is bizarre to say.
Everybody wanted to pick up an instrument after playing Guitar Hero. I mean, for me, it was the bass, but because that was only because everybody else was playing guitar, and you know
we were playing guitar and we wanted to start a band, and you played bass.
Our immediate band was like, okay, you already had a guitar, like I'll get a bass. I'll be the bass player. You know.
And Dan Corona was gonna play drums because he has drums in his attic.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And Guitar Hero, it introduced me to to classic rock. I mean, all these songs like that I could recite probably now years later that I haven't heard in years. I mean, like Ruby, Barracuda. I could Through the Fire and Flames.
The list is endless, dude.
Guitar Hero 3 was the personal sweet spot for me. Guitar Hero 3, I had that on my Wii, and I got endless mileage out of that game. That was one of those games that even my parents loved.
Yeah,
because
100%. I played it with my parents all the time.
because my parents loved it, my sister loved it, everybody who played it loved it. It was basically just like a walking arcade game.
Yeah, 100%. My mom bought a PS2 so we could play Guitar Hero 2.
So sick.
We were
So
playing
sick.
Guitar Hero 1 at a family's house, and she was like, this is like the coolest fucking thing in the world. I'm going to buy a fucking PlayStation, and we're going to play this.
That's awesome.
Which is insane.
And
that's
Guitar
sick 'cause-
Hero, it evolved into, like, I mean, not the franchise specifically, but out of Guitar Hero spawned Rock Band.
Yeah.
Endless mileage out of that game. Rock Band, like, I got affiliated with kind of like...
So much time
there
spent
was-
playing that game,
There was,
dude.
like... The thing about Guitar Hero was, like, it was all, like, rock music. You know, all mostly classic rock. Mostly.
Yeah, with a
but-
couple exceptions, but that was like
you
the
know,
dominant
You
portion.
get on Rock Band and you're playing, you know, I'm like drumming out to or singing Say It Ain't So. I'm singing Weezer songs, like, you know, grunge stuff, late 90s, early 2000s.
It wasn't
shit.
exclusively classic rock
Yeah,
from like
it wasn't
70s,
exclusively classic rock, and you could also like download other songs to play. It was sick. You could
sure.
download songs that you wanted. So, I mean, for that reason, I loved Rock Band. Endless mileage out of Rock Band. It had the versatility of you're able to sing, you're able to be on, you know, the drums, the guitar, whatever it is that you wanted to do. There was something for everybody in the family to do, and it was just something to have fun with. It was basically like this advanced like karaoke that you just had at your house.
Mm-hmm.
For
It was
reason,
pretty
Rock
fucking
Band's
badass.
pretty fucking epic.
Pretty fucking epic is right. It was just an absolute crazy dump of time. And again, it made all of us want to like play instruments.
And we can't be the only ones who
No,
are,
definitely
our
not.
love
I've met
of
so many people who
music.
share the same sentiments, you know?
Who our love of music started with, you know, from video games, from Rock Band and Guitar Hero. And that's
I
awesome.
liked music to a degree, but that made me love music and want to pursue playing music and shit, you know?
Exactly. I know who Slash is because of
Yeah, Guitar Hero, straight up. Like that shit made me obsessed with it, and I think I wouldn't be doing as much of the things I'm doing in my life if at the absolute root and core I didn't start by picking up Guitar Hero, because things like that made me want to go fucking be a fucking loser and sit down in a corner on like a lunch break at school and fucking play guitar in like a music room by myself. And I met Harold that way, who's a good friend of ours, who we've played music together and done all this shit together, and he's a close friend for years and years and years, over a decade, you know. All these entry points, me and Morazzo, who we brought up earlier, playing a band together right now, all these things I'm doing in my life are all rooted in the fact that I picked up a controller with 5 buttons on it that looked like a guitar and was introduced to all this different music and the notion of like performing by playing that game.
That's the thing. Like, you got that feel, like playing through the music. You it's a similar feel as it is to playing an instrument. You get that same feeling when you're hitting the notes.
Yeah, no, 100%.
On the guitar, and it feels good. And that was the first time you got that real feeling. You were like, holy shit! Like, I wonder what this feels like for real. Like, I want to rock out for real. And that's the beauty. Like, we did. You've played countless shows. I've played plenty of shows as well.
Done tons of band stuff together throughout the years, you know.
Yeah. It started. It was a creative fire starter. And for that, I thank you, creators of Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Yeah, shout out to them for real. Was it Rockstar Games who did that? Literally?
God knows. I don't know.
I think it was Rockstar. I might be wrong about that, but either way, great shit, and it made a positive impact on all of our lives, and I think that's above all else why it's on this list, because frankly, you know, the game after a couple of years did burn out. You know, I had a good 3-year run with it, tops, of just like picking up the new titles, and then I said fuck that shit forever. You know, like.
You know what? But now that game, like, rests in power. You can go to somewhere like Round 1. You can go to an arcade and you can find that game, and everyone's like, ah, and they get on it and everyone plays it. You know?
Yeah. It's like a mainstay.
It's
like arcade game now.
It stays immortal. You know?
For sure. I agree with that. Which is sick shit.
Which is cool. Which is a cool. It's a cool spot for the game to be in. It's a cool spot for the game to be in years.
Instead
years
of just
later.
like sullied with a terrible reputation.
Just
I totally
like
agree with that.
Fading into obscurity. You know?
For sure. So we got a couple other games on this list I think we want to hit. We got a good half hour left.
And then we can open the chat to who's ever in. And
yeah, talk a little bit on there to wrap up. So I think another one I want to hit. You put this one down. It's not, again, not personally in my top 10, but we played it a lot together. Both Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. Those are pretty hot games as youth, and I wouldn't necessarily say they were particularly influential for me, but I still think it's worth talking about because we sunk a lot of time into playing that game.
Oh yeah.
Or those two games rather.
Oh yeah. All right, so I'll start with this one because this is a game that on the list that was more exclusive to me than it was Joey. So Star Wars Battlefront, it was the only I got. My uncle won. Okay, so I mentioned I used to be part of a Greek church, a Greek Orthodox church, and every summer we would do a Greek festival, and with that Greek festival came like a lottery of prize giveaways. You'd buy a ticket, it would support the church, and there was a series of prizes. Top 7 prizes were like cars, by the way. So, and they still do this. So, top 7 prizes were like cards, and as you go down the list, television, PS2. At this time, TVs, PS2s, laptops, all this like nice shit, And on that list was a classic Xbox, and my uncle, my parents, my uncle, they buy tickets every year. They want to support the church. They're devout Greek Orthodox. They're Greek Orthodox devouts, whatever you want to call it. That's what they identify with. That's their religion that they identify with. So they buy tickets to support the church. Blah blah blah. My uncle buys a couple tickets. He wins the Xbox. Immediately, like, my uncle doesn't give a shit about the Xbox. Definitely isn't gonna play it. But he like saves it as a gift to give to me at a certain time. So 3rd grade, my birthday rolls around. He gives me the Xbox for my birthday. Cool. I've got an Xbox now. Family friend Andy Martino, he buys me Star Wars Battlefront. I'm a 3rd grader. Xbox games are $50. I don't have a dime to my name. So I get this. I have this Star Wars Battlefront game. I have this Xbox. I got my controller, and that's it. I have I think I have 2 controllers. I think somebody bought me a controller as well. Enough so that somebody else could play with me when they came over. So that was the only game I had for like 6 to 8 months. I exclusively played Star Wars Battlefront over and over and over again. There was no real like campaign in that game. You would kind of just play the levels over and over again. You could go through some sort of semblance of a campaign, but it was really just like you're playing through the levels, like the same levels that you would be in like split screen mode or whatever. So I just played split screen all day. I would play against computers all day, and that was like the first 3rd-person shooter that I really fucked with, really heavily fucked with Star Wars Battlefront. And then Battlefront 2 came out. It was the natural progression, Now you could play
Jedis and that shit.
Jedis. I could be fucking people up as Darth Vader, whomever I want.
Which were a poorly received addition to the game.
Yeah, they were
which
just
we didn't realize as kids.
Threw it out of balance. But when you're a kid, you're like,
yeah, exactly. You think it's sick as fuck, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, I'm zapping this guy with my lightning. I'm killing so many people.
Oh my god, dude, so fucking OP.
It was OP, needed nerf, but back in those days, there was no such things as nerf.
Dude, absolutely fucking diabolical at that point in time.
But yeah,
it's just so fucking trash edition of the game.
As far as 3rd-person shooters go, that's my 3rd-person of choice is the Battlefront franchise. Honorable mention to Gears of War 2. Horde was a really,
we played a good amount of Gears. Yeah,
Gears,
that was good.
Gears
shit.
was fun. I did not fuck with it online, but Horde, that mode that was basically like a glorified Nazi
just
zombies.
survival mode. Yeah,
survival mode. That was sick.
No, it was great.
Was fucking sick. And like games like that, games like Left 4 Dead, those would translate to real life games that we'd play. We'd turn off all the lights in Bene's house, and then like the little siblings would be there, and we'd just beat the shit out of each other and be like, okay, I'm a boomer. I'm X guy from the Gears, and everyone's just fighting each other. We're beating the shit out of each other, and that's the game for the day. It translated.
And you're acting like all these fucked up characters from the game, 100%. Like you're replicating. You're not just like, oh, I'm a boomer. You're gonna act like a boomer.
I remember
when you're fucking beating the shit out of each other.
All the lights were off in Bene's house. Kel and Jake Fontanelli were there. I'm not sure if you were there for this one. I was walking into upstairs into Bene, huge house, by the way, for those of you that
gigantic
don't know.
House,
huge
like mini
house,
mansion.
Beautiful house, rip in peace, just got sold. God, I feel old. Anyways.
Yeah. Life sucks.
Anyways, we're walking. I'm walking into his room. I see Jake walking into the room, and Kel was role playing as the boomer. So he goes, I'm walking up the stairs and I hear boom, and then like 2 thumps, and I just see Jake like clawing at the carpet to try to get some traction, and Kel pulling him in by his legs and shuts the door, and then you just hear screaming.
So fucking insane, dude. And they say that these games have no influence on kids.
They absolutely.
Like, you're a case in point, dude. Oh my god. Or there's an argument for these games have a negative influence on kids. That's case in point that they might.
But like, I just want to just disclaimer, like, I don't believe, like, people that, you know, believe that video games cause like school shootings and shit.
Oh no, fuck all that nonsense.
Fuck
oh yeah. Literal nonsense. Literal nonsense.
Biggest dumbass bullshit.
There are a million dependent factors that cause tragedies and, you know, misshapings of humans like that, and video games are just not one of them.
No. But if we're talking about entry-level good fun that might result in worst-case scenario like a broken arm or a leg, then yeah.
That it most definitely does reflect.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Which, so largely encompassing of, like, all of our fucking lives. But definitely, I also want to pop in one game, just if... Battlefront, like I said, for me, it was more or less a game I played at your house, a game I played at home sometimes because I had a PS2. But it didn't like impact me in the same way. I just love the Star Wars franchise.
There was plenty of games like that where you'd go over your boy's house and your boy had it, and like it left like a somewhat of a small impact on you even there. You just remember going
the Dragon Ball Budokai games.
Dragon Ball Budokai. I mean, if I'm talking, I mean the Godzilla game I used to go over and play at Dan's house. That was sick. Dan was another one of my friends who always had all the systems before me, and I would just go over his house and I would play his systems like as much as I possibly could. We like wouldn't do anything else because I couldn't get off of him because I was going to his house and like, yeah, Dan was my best friend. Dan is like one of my best friends, and I would just go over his house and play the whole thing, and Dan would be like pissed because like I wouldn't want to like go outside or do anything else. So much so that one time, like I came over his house and his mom like faked that they were taking the controllers away. Right? So like,
God.
Dan, she like faked like, oh, Dan and Matt like they were acting out, so like I took the controllers away. So like no GameCube today. He's punished. And and it worked. I mean, me and Dan like went outside or did some other shit, rode bikes, did whatever it is we would do, played with action figures. Dan used to have like tubs and tubs of action figures, Legos, like you name it, we did it.
The other things you'd want to do. Yeah.
So that's just a funny tangent. Godzilla. Also, my introduction to Melee was at Dan's house. I couldn't get enough of that game. Like I was playing Marth back then, dude. I knew even back then, man. 8 years old. I was on the high tiers. I was on Marth and Fox.
You already knew, dude. I will say I played Falco mostly as a child. A lot of Falco.
Too fucking slow for me, man. Too fucking
slow. Preferred Marth to Roy. I feel like I was also kind of drawn to those characters.
Roy was
the only
doo-doo butter in that game.
Yeah, 100%. But here's the other thing. Something funny worth noting that no one listening to this will really understand. You know where I do this like character that I call Saint Pierre, and he's pretty much just this punishing guy at locals. So we'll be sitting there playing fucking Smash at Spanos' house. I'll be like, "Yo, what's up, man? It's Saint Pierre. Good to see you. How you doing? Glad we're playing games together again." And I'll like shake your hand.
Can't escape him even here.
And I'll punish him. Here we are on a podcast. I'm doing the Saint Pierre, but I will sit there and I'll punish you the entire time doing that shit. But the reason I bring him up is because Saint Pierre exclusively plays Mr. Game & Watch, and he's like mad nice and mild mannered. And then when you start playing Game & Watch, he talks reckless shit. Game & Watch was like my other love from Melee. Not that he was any good, but I played a lot of Game & Watch as a child in Melee because obviously I didn't know better. I'm just fucking playing. We're playing fucking shitty Smash with items on, you know, like. But I played so much Game & Watch, and that's why I spawned the character.
If he's the secret character, like Smash 64, Ness was like the secret character, Ness and Captain Falcon. If they're the secret characters, man, you gotta fucking play them. You gotta love them, you know. There was like a mystique, a vibe around Game & Watch.
Mm-hmm. Damn right there is, dude. Yo, if Game & Watch was a fucking human that I could marry, I'd fucking marry Game & Watch and spend the rest of my life with Game & Watch.
I'm on some
Game & Watch.
I'm on some furry shit with Fox and Wolf. Straight
dude,
up.
Clearly, but you know I put respect on it because like I'd be about it too. If they were hitting my line, if I was getting like a WID text from Wolf at like 3 a.m,
dude,
maybe I'd have to smash.
I'm answering.
Maybe I'd have to smash. You never know. Maybe I come through to Wolf's house and we watch like a horror movie or something, or like Netflix.
Bro,
And it's just
maybe,
down to
maybe
business.
you take him on a Ben special, dude. Maybe you take him bowling, and then the
It's-
sushi bowling combo, dude.
Sushi bowling, maybe a little nature walk.
Yeah,
You never know.
Oh, the nature walk, dude.
It always works
Maybe a
out
little
perfect.
Nature walk, yo, behind the rock, dude. You can't see anything from there.
You got no idea what's going on back there. It's a beautiful thing.
2 p.m. in the afternoon, baby.
Oh, well, the sun's shining. You got to see what you're doing.
Sun's shining.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's enough
Yeah,
smut.
sight.
That's enough smut.
It's some good smut if
What
there
are
ever
we
was
at?
good smut.
We're about hour and 36 in. I figure we got time for
About an hour and
more-
40 in.
One more
We got-
game before we open up the floor. What do you think?
I'm down with that because at that point we'll
we
technically
skipped-
be one game shy of our top 10.
We skipped
But again,
Mario.
this
I mean, we can go over 2 hours. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can delay
I
your
just
battles a little bit if we want to hit those 10, but we are leaving out Mario if we do this. Just saying. I would
because
like to talk
we have
about
to talk about
and
League.
Mario.
League's inevitable.
Okay, word.
But let's just briefly touch on Mario instead of doing like a full deep dive on it. Let's be very brief in this, and then we'll go into our 2 hours, go over our 2 hours, and just go as hard as we got it on League because League's a game we both have
A lot
to say.
A lot to say.
But so Mario, played Mario 64, loved it. Played Super Mario Sunshine, loved it. Played Mario Kart Double Dash, loved it. Played all the Mario Brothers titles, loved it. Mario isn't a franchise I think that was like crazy, like emotionally influential on me. It didn't do things for my life like all these other games, or not all these other games, but a couple of these games that we cited did. Like I don't have that like intense attachment to the franchise, but I played it extensively. Every time there was a Mario title, odds are I picked it up and I played through the whole damn thing because Mario games are just impeccably good. Just perfect platformers.
Yes. There are so many Mario games. I want to say there's more than I could possibly ever be able to play. I'd be lying if I said I've played through every one of them, but the majors I played some. Obviously Mario 64, not all of it. Like I should have. Obviously Mario 64 is a classic.
Incredible playthrough. Incredible
played through all of Mario Sunshine with my cousin Steve.
My favorite of the bunch, probably.
A lot of those RPGs, those GameCube RPGs specifically, those fucking took forever.
Dude, they were long games, dude.
So fleshed out, took so much work.
There's a reason people speedrun them now because they're just like it's a flex.
It's literally a flex to speedrun them. I mean, like those games took so much that I couldn't play them alone. I had to play them with somebody to motivate me to keep going. So like Pokemon Coliseum, I'm hate to divert from Mario, but Pokemon Coliseum, like I played with my neighbor Jeff Tao.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jeff Tao
we did that together. I could not play that game alone. I could not figure it out alone. Same thing with Mario Sunshine. Like I played it with my cousin Steve, and we figured it out together. We played it. We passed the controller, and we got through it. You know, and that's how most of those Mario games go. Now, if we're talking about the Mario games, for me, the biggest ones were obviously Mario Party. Not obviously. I don't know how people feel about the Mario Party franchise, but there was no better game that you could pick up and just have good, wholesome, non-competitive fun than the Mario Party franchise. Mario Party 3 was my personal favorite, and I've recently just picked it up again on the Switch, and we've had many a good time playing Mario Party Switch.
Yeah, straight up, dude. Game's fun as fuck. Feels like the best Mario Party since like 4/5. I'd say, in my opinion.
Easily. I mean, I played others. I got Mario Party 5. I couldn't tell you exactly which ones I owned.
Dabbled throughout the years, you know.
But I mean, I can tell you they were seeing constant play, and to this day you can still enjoy them with however many people you want. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's it's a board game without like all the shit of a board game, without all the setup. It's just there for you, like, and it's,
with the good fun of the animations and franchise you're vested in, you know.
Exactly.
I definitely I feel a lot of good ways about Mario as an entity, as a franchise. I love it dearly, and it definitely I think I'd be doing Nintendo a disservice to exclude that from a top 10.
Of course,
without a question.
It's probably Nintendo's top franchise. I mean, I said that about Pokemon. But
it's definitely it's top.
Like when you think of Nintendo, who do you think of? Mario.
Probably Mario, yeah, 100%. Right? Like you think of Pokemon when you think of a variety of things, but it's like Pokemon and then Nintendo is the next thought.
I think of Pokemon like on its own. Nintendo is the next spot. Pokemon as in its own like entity. But when I think of Nintendo the franchise, when I think of the Nintendo Switch, the GameCube, all these consoles, Mario is the next image that pops into my head. Is Mario?
Dude, 100%. I totally agree with that.
So
and I think that's probably a good place to leave that, right?
Yeah.
4 minutes of Mario talk. Yeah. We agree. Mario sick as fuck, influential, important.
Mm-hmm.
And that dives us into the last game we want to touch on for this podcast, and that is fucking League of Legends. So I think I want to jump first on this. I'll go first because I kind of know where I started with League, although there's plenty to talk about, obviously. So I go to our friend John's house. John, who's also a moderator on the stream and helps out with all the tournaments we run and all the cool things Spanos does on the regular. Respect to John.
Shout out to John. Shout out to Dan. Like this whole thing, the stream, this platform, it would not be a thing without them. And all the friends that help makes this happen. Like straight up. Anyways,
100%. Beautiful squad that hustles and is appreciated. John becomes our friend like circa 8th grade when he moved here, and we pretty much, our friendship with John literally spawned off the fact that we saw him in a World of Warcraft t-shirt at school and said, all right, you're our friend now. So I go to John's one time, and John has an older brother that would do arenas for WoW.
Shout out to Andrew.
And shout out to Andrew, who's a great guy. We saw him playing a game called Heroes of New Earth, which was pretty much a Dota clone before Dota 2 existed. It literally just was meant to fill the niche of like what Dota 2 came to be, because people love Dota, but they wanted a modernized platform to play the game, and that's what Han was. And Andrew played Han. So John also played Heroes of New Earth and tried getting us all into it. And it didn't really stick, because I think the game, frankly, just had better graphics than the fucking computer I was playing on had power for. There were just a couple reasons why it didn't stick for me. Game was frankly pretty hard, because Dota's fucking harder to pick up because denying creep is hard. And then somewhere along the line, in the same frame of time, I pick up League of Legends, trying it for a YouTube channel that I tried getting off the ground in 8th grade, or the end of 8th grade going into 9th grade.
Shout out to Troll Network.
Shout out to Troll Network. That was my first attempt at doing literally what we're doing right now. So I did that shit because I knew that all that shit would blow up someday anyways. I'm fucking smart as fuck. But I tried doing that shit, and I did something. I had a segment called the Weekly Review, where I'd just pick a game and I'd fucking play it and talk about it. And I did it real time, so I'd have my mic on, so you'd hear me fucking up while I'm like playing the game. I'd be like, this game is fun, and wait, what does that say? It was just like totally disjointed. But I picked a League as that game because I was familiar with it from like League. To me, in my mind at the time, was budget Heroes of New Earth. I didn't understand what League was, nor what it would be, because at that point, Season 1 was just coming to an end. We're getting into Season 2, which obviously a tremendous year for esports for League, like crazy world. But
pause 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold that thought. He just called League a budget Heroes of New Earth.
I don't
feel
that way.
I understand. I understand you don't feel that way anymore. He just called League a budget Heroes of New Earth. Fast forward 5 years later, 6 years later, we're me and him are sitting in a sold out Madison Square Garden to watch CLG versus TSM.
Yep, which was an insane series that we got to witness. Double F went fucking psychotic that day.
Continue.
But rolling back time, before selling out Madison Square Garden in New York City, I at that time saw League as like the League was like advertised on like blogs and websites in this like cheesy font. It was like 100% free to play, and free to play games had negative connotations back then. It's not like now where the market is like everything's free to play, and then you get microtransactions. If a game was free to play back then, it probably sucked because everything was subscription and buy to play model. Like you had a bad taste in your mouth when you saw a free to play game. Lo and behold, I pick up League of Legends. I do this weekly review thing. I play Nocturne. I play like trash, but it stuck. And then all of our friend group progressively kind of adopted the game around the same time and went on to play it. We were all very bad. To this day are still relatively bad. Nothing changes there. But the game pretty much stuck forever, and we all had pretty intense phases of playing the game nonstop. And that's where I passed the mic off to my friend right here, because none had a more fucking feverish, unhealthy relationship with League of Legends than our buddy Spanos over here.
I'm always the guy. I'm always the guy that gets sucked in and into the black.
That's not a lie at all. It's true shit.
Whatever game it is, I will get as deeply vested in it as anybody possibly could, and it will. I think almost always be a lost cause.
I think League for you was like the last, like, in the same way that we treated World of Warcraft when we were like kids, the last like you literally are like fucking everything up playing this game.
Yes.
Like
yes.
in terms of just like
I'm waking up.
won't even leave your room type shit.
This is high school. People throwing things at my window. I'm mid-league game. Like you. You guys are trying to get me to hang out, and I'm just like on my fucking computer. You know, like that's the level of addiction that I had to League of Legends. I mean, countless fights. My parents pulling the router out from underneath me, and those of you guys know, like any lag, any delay whatsoever in League of Legends is extremely frustrating because you're missing creeps, you're missing out on gold. Like any delay whatsoever, any sort of AFK that you have to do, like that's that game where you sit down in a league game and you cannot get up. You cannot get up. You are in that game for 30 to 40 minutes. So, and I'm clocking at this point, like in high school, like 10, 12 games a day. I'm just filling up my whole day with them.
It was pretty fucking psychotic looking back.
This is when I was like really overweight, and it like probably League was so good that it legitimately fucked up my life. Like it set me back. It took my eye off the ball that was, you know, getting good grades in high school. Like I probably ended up going to community college because of games like League, or League specifically. World of Warcraft and League definitely gave me the tag team that, you know, ended me up, you know, the road to Suffolk.
Right. Of course. Truly brutalizing. No question about that.
Nothing else mattered. But yeah,
and we would sit there and we duo queue all night.
I saw it, and League was magical to me because not only did I enjoy the game, not only was it good, but it was the beginning of what was a huge shot in the arm, a shot of adrenaline for esports as a whole. This is when esports, like before League was Dota and CS and Han and like all these other games. But League came through and it just
commercialized the whole goddamn thing.
Legitimized esports. People started getting visas to go overseas to play these tournaments. Like MLG like is one thing, but League of Legends just took it and kicked the doors down and just, like I said, legitimized everything. They changed the game. There was all this pageantry, huge prize pools, this, that, and there. Everything was on the line in these games.
The LCS functioning like traditional sports.
Yes.
Players getting paid salary to just continuously play the game, win or lose.
Salaries. They're buying houses. Reginald has a Lamborghini now, guys. Reginald has a Lamborghini.
Pretty fucked up.
He's got a fucking Huracan. It's crazy.
Actually fucking insane. But again, all those notions,
all the superstardom, like it was all the pageantry, all like the personalities, the teams. It was like, for me, a person that wasn't really invested in sports, like this was, but was invested in video games instead. I was never a jock. I was never an athlete in high school. For me, this was the perfect marriage. You know,
100%.
I gravitated to it. I took to it like a fish to water. And I was addicted. I was determined to be one of these players, one of these personalities that you see on the big screen. I was like, if I put in the hours, then I'll do it. And that's what I was doing. I was grinding, and I never made it. You know, Gold 1 was like the highest I ever eclipsed at. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I was just too young to be decent. Of course, there's plenty of young esports players now, but at the time, it just, you know, it wasn't for me. I wasn't that good. But it you know, turned into a time sink. But, you know, I wouldn't take any of it all back. Playing that game was a hell of an experience. I learned a lot, and it set the table for me to get into HOTS, which was another important game.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, we're not going to talk about in this podcast. We just don't have time. But me and Joey both clocked. I mean, I've clocked over 3,000 games in Heroes of the Storm. But
yeah, I had a good like 2,000 as well. We put a lot of time in.
That's a little further on than the generation we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I think, do you have anything that you want to say about League?
I think nothing else beyond the fact that just it's interesting to see not only how commercialized the whole industry around it has become thanks to that game, and also just like how like League of course, like these days is like, it's like Call of Duty when we were kids. It's like everybody plays League. Didn't matter if it was like the jock at your high school or your cousin's fucking best friend or your sister's boyfriend. Like everyone has at least dabbled in that game. It's a household name. And that is of course very interesting to me. But I think the coolest part about League is, I mean, aside from the game itself and why it was so important, is it formalized everything else. And I know that's kind of redundant because we've already talked about like how like it changed esports as a whole, but it formalized ranked systems at games. It formalized making games more team based and the ways you look at development for games and balancing metas and creating characters. It literally has had the most unbelievable bloom of like how to like build a competitive game. Games like Overwatch are influenced by League, you know?
Me,
like
yes. Games like Overwatch. Everybody should be taking notes on what League does. League has set the bar for esports and continues to do so. Continues to push. That's the thing about League that keeps it relevant is it continues to evolve. It continues to build its player base. And the bar therefore continues to get set higher and higher and higher. You know,
it's not just esports and money, it's game development, it's infrastructure, it's marketing, it's game it's everything.
Does it all.
And that, as a person, like here we are doing a podcast talking about games, like plain and simple, I've never been particularly all that great at any game. Here's the Storm was probably the best game I ever had in terms of like personal skill. That was like the best I ever got at a game. And I've always been very interested and vested in what competitive players are doing, the status of games, the state of how games are doing in the market world. And League was just inspiring to follow because you look at what's going on because of that game. And as a person who just cares about what other people who are good at those games do and what managers, coaches, you know, sports psychiatrists, all these people who are working in that field, I was always inspired by watching them make their way and, you know, like build that world. That game gave nothing but opportunity.
All the jobs it created, the families it's fed, like
that's what I'm saying, dude. It's just unbelievably inspiring to watch. It has
transcended anything that anyone ever thought video games could be associated with. You know,
for real, 100%. It didn't even remold. It just created its own mold. Period. And that shit's just endlessly inspiring to me. And I guess that's my closing point on the game. Is just like the game broke down doors and fucking built a million new ones.
Yeah. Set the table for other games as it did it. You know?
And it was fun as fuck too. Great game to play. To this day, I'll still pick it up anytime and thoroughly enjoy myself.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our portion of the podcast. That was a lot of fun. Now I'm gonna open up the floor to the chat. Chat, ask us questions. Live Q&A here for a couple minutes. For 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to answer questions, talk about games that might have been impactful. We're just going to comment on what's being said in the chat. So, guys, if you got anything to say, now would be the time. Let's hear it.
Mm-hmm. First, I'm going to hit on Divine just asked, which was just like what games were on the list. And again, this wasn't all encompassing to like, you know, both of our respective lists, because obviously there's some games that would have made my top 10, would have made Spanos' top 10 that didn't make each other's. But we talked about Pokemon, the Halo franchise, particularly 3, the Star Fox franchise, Smash, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Mario, Star Wars Battlefront, Guitar Hero, and Call of Duty. Those were like the big ones we touched on. Trying to think. Joey, why are you so hot? Because
the glow up, man. The glow up's been real.
Yeah, just hard grinding.
Get the gym.
Yeah, it's cool. Not for everybody, but if you fuck with it, it's sick as fuck. I love lifting weights. It's a good thing in my life. Probably like it's like games and music are like just about equal. Then weightlifting, nice firm number 2. Gym's
Guys,
sick.
When everything else in your life is going to shit, when you've lost in your favorite video game, when you're down like 200 fucking elo, when you drop from gold 5 to silver 5, the gym is still there for you.
Yeah, you can still go rip a fucking hundreds of pounds off the ground and it feels great.
Yeah. So go.
It's good shit.
Why no Minecraft?
Okay, because here's why. Because Star Wars Battlefront, that's the game I've at least like played and messed around with. You know, games like that we could talk about. Because me and Spanos have both dabbled. Minecraft, Spanos was so out of our time in Minecraft. And again, I'll bring this up to the chat now. Like, a lot of people are participating in the chat right now, and myself, Minecraft would make my top 10 probably, because we got that game right when alpha launched, and I personally played it all the way through beta to the last patch before it launched formally. And we're talking like get home from school at like 2:30 shit and play all the fucking way, like until 3 a.m, rinse, wash, repeat on school nights, like dumping our fucking lives away to play Minecraft together on a friend. Like the notion of a friend making a server and us being able to play on it and him leaving it on 24/7 was crazy to us because that's just commonplace now. The game is so easily and accessible in so many ways, and quality of life is so much better for the game. But like back then, it was just the Wild West, and being a part of that game when it was the Wild West is something so special to me that I can't even just enjoy it for what it is now. I'm a fucking elitist snob, and I loved alpha era Minecraft. It was the coolest fucking shit in the world.
I cannot comment on Minecraft for obvious reasons. I've played.
Yes,
Minecraft.
he's completely removed. Did not even touch the game.
Never.
Jack asked a fair question, which is favorite World of Warcraft expansion, and I think my answer would be Wrath of the Lich King, because for a variety of reasons. My first experience raiding, I love the aesthetic. Arthas has some of my favorite lore. There's a million reasons why. I don't think that's the best World of Warcraft expansion, although I think it's one of them. But it's definitely my favorite, unquestionably.
If I were to answer that question, for nostalgia's sake, I would say either Wrath of the Lich King or Burning Crusade. But personally and selfishly, like, I would have to say Legion. Unfortunately, I mean Legion. Like, I met a lot of like legitimate friends while playing Legion. He mentioned before that I ran guilds and had great success and pushed at a pseudo competitive level, and like Legion was that time for me. I have people that like one of my officers from Juice was the name of my guild. One of my officers, which for those of you that don't know like what an officer is in a guild, you can compare it to like being a moderator in a Twitch chat. One of my officers, like, he just had his third kid, and he was sending me pictures and everything, and that's somebody who I still talk to like all the time. We text. I keep up with like a lot of people that I played WoW with, and I had a really great time running that guild for, it was like a 2-year stretch that we were together, raiding 3 days a week through the whole time, and that's when I killed the most bosses, and through killing bosses, doing all that shit, you create memories, and those memories, they did start. I mean, our raiding experience, it did start in Wrath of the Lich King. So if I were to say nostalgia, I would definitely say Wrath of the Lich King would be the one. But as far as the player experience goes, I did every boss on the highest difficulty possible with my 20-man Mythic Raid group in Legion. So I will pick Legion as my favorite World of Warcraft expansion. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but
I mean, dude, that's fair because
as far as like having a fleshed out player experience, like that was it. I saw the most, I did the most, I probably clocked the most hours in Legion.
It's also an agreed upon, like, just good expansion. Like, people don't hate on Legion. Legion has respect. It's not like the current trash bag that WoW is right now. And also, objectivity to a degree goes out the window when you're talking about favorites. Like, Wrath of the Lich King's my favorite, but that added Dungeon Finder, which was, like, although a common stay in all games now, like a poison thing for the market long term, at least in my opinion. It takes away the immersion effort that used to come out of all these MMOs. But before diving into that tangent, because it's not even worth getting into, because that's a podcast in itself, the other, I loved fucking Warlords of Draenor, and that expansion sucked dick. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
That expansion was awful, but I had so much fun playing it. Like, I genuinely had, like, the time, that was, like, one of the, like, paramount gaming experiences of my life, playing that X-Pack, because it was just all of our friends playing together.
Yeah.
At all times, Everyone was so hyped on that X-Pack at the time because of the hype it built.
Warlords of Draenor was a WoW renaissance. All of our friends
Yeah, it was a special time for the game, at least for our squad of people, Getting on there every fucking 3 nights a week. Same deal. What you're doing with Legion, just with everybody. The night that expansion dropped, I picked up 2 large cold brews from Dunkin', threw them in my fridge, went to sleep from 10 to 3 a.m. My alarm went off at 2:58. I started slamming the cold brews, and I played until 10:30 that morning.
Warlords was
and then
like,
went to class, came back.
And that's what Warlords was. Like, Warlords was it was the last run. Like, the last time that any of us would be able to do something like that.
Yeah, for real, because real life gets in the way.
I went on and I did it for another like 2 years in Legion after that. But as a group, as a friend group, as a collective, that was the last time that we'd be able to pull something like that off before real life kicked in and responsibility came into the picture. I'm going to answer a quick question. Spanos, why are you actually bad at every game you play?
So many people have asked him that question, funny enough.
I'm just going to say, as a person, I have like no marvelous gifts, but I'm ultra competitive, so it's kind of a bad cocktail. I don't know, dude. I literally suck at everything. I'm not too smart. I have terrible genetics. as far as like the gym goes.
Self-made man.
I'm pretty bad at every game I play. Thousands of hours clocked on League, and the highest I ever got was Gold 1. Like I'm that guy who can throw himself at a game for thousands upon thousands of hours and just not get any better. So I don't know though, but I still manage to eclipse many people. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so bad at every game I try. I mean, I'm pretty good at card games. I'm good at games where there's no uncontrollables. But yeah, you can definitely tell with WoW. I mean, it's a mystery. Some of our raiders, an ex-raider is in here right now. Boucheron, shit healer. I had rank 1s in WoW. I had legitimate rank 1 logs in WoW that you can go look at, Boucheron. Like top 5, top 4 ranks. So
WoW, you definitely made it happen compared to other games. Also, Jack raised another good question that I think I want to touch on just because it's a good one. And then we should probably wrap up fairly soon. But Jack asked, or Gibraltar asked, any franchise you wish you had deep attachment to or which you were exposed to when you were younger? For him, it's Zelda and Devil May Cry. For me, Final Fantasy. And I'm literally going to play Final Fantasy VII soon for what is actually the first time in my life at almost 23 years old. Like, that's just a whole franchise that, I dearly admire from a distance. I know virtually nothing about. I just think it's sick as fuck, and I know the impact it had on RPGs, which I love. I'm definitely a little bit of an RPG guy. And then I would say, second answer to that, Souls games. But I've been playing Souls games more recently. I'm gonna play Sekiro. I played Dark Souls recently. I'm working my way into that franchise, so it won't be distant for long. But the Souls games were something I was a total fucking new jack to. Any of those for you, Spanos? Any games that are distant that you wish you got to experience?
Yes. Definitely Zelda, in which he mentioned. I didn't play any of the Zelda games. That's probably a shame. I wish I dabbled in F-Zero. I wish I played Earthbound. There's a bunch of classic titles that I just missed the boat on just because, I was so busy dedicating time. I'm big on finding a game that I like and playing it relentlessly, exclusively. So in the process, I have missed out on, quite a few titles. So, F-Zero, Earthbound, Zelda, to name a few. What else? Other big... Soul Calibur, I really didn't do nearly enough justice to. I would have liked to try Street Fighter in its infancy. Man,
I wish I played Third Strike for real. Even Street Fighter 4, that game is extremely hard. I wish I grew up on that shit.
Anything before SV5, because to my understanding, Street Fighter 5 is shot. But you watch your father play Zelda every game growing up. Why is everybody's parents so cool and modern, but mine? My parents are is this the devil? There's a meme, literally any game, whatever, Yu-Gi-Oh, this, that, my mom would not get me the Joey Wheeler Destruction deck, the structure deck. It was called the Joey Wheeler Destruction deck, and she would not get me it because she's like, no, it's the devil,
Yeah, your family definitely went hard on.
Your mom's getting you a fucking PS2, dude. Your dad is bringing you home EverQuest. And I'm literally
fucked up.
I'm literally getting the router pulled on me. It's been a long road, guys. It's been a long road.
It really has.
You're sitting near the fucking playing crazy Zelda on the N64. Fuck, man.
You had it hard, dude. Many nights, many a duo queues stripped away from I hear
so
literally
much
I would
lost. I might be pro now. We might not be having this conversation if the router wasn't pulled on me so many times. I might be Grandmaster in League right now.
Dude, straight up. Yo, I would literally hear a fucking yelp on Skype. I would hear
no!
Spanos' dad is a pretty Greek man, has a pretty thick accent, and I would just hear Greek cursing over Skype, and then I could literally like count back from like 4 in my head, and then he would just like I'd see like whatever Rengar is like
Start
disconnected, and he'll start running back to me. It was so evil.
Dude,
and I'd just get like a text from him.
That shit would just drive me through, because that's, anybody knows, like lag and stuff, that's the most frustrating shit. I could just I would get crazy too. I get crazy when my parents would do that shit. Many fights would happen. I could stick my head through a piece of drywall when I'm lagging, guys. Lag just makes me like, it's like
punch your fucking
it's like lagging in a game like is like road rage to me. It's literally like road rage. Like I could stick my fucking head through a piece of drywall. I'm so mad. But yeah, I mean,
shit.
We got any other questions in the chat before we lock it up, guys?
Yeah, we're looking to
final
wrap this up, I'd say.
Again,
so
I'm gonna follow it up with viewer battles after this. But what anything else at all, guys? Anything else at all? Thoughts on Dragster? You already know my thoughts on Dragster. I've said him. I don't gotta say him again. Conquer bad for a day. I don't know what that is. Most hated Smash character.
That's a good question.
That's a good one.
That's a great question. I don't want. I'm gonna say Ganondorf.
Yo, fuck you.
But, I respect him, and I understand he's actually genuinely competitive. Like he has this he gets written off as like a one-trick heavy. I don't feel that way about him. I know he's totally like can actually be a high-skill character and sick in the world of like competitive play. I get that, but it's frustrating when someone who's like it's just a character that anyone could pick up and play and find some random success with, and when you just get fucking just fucked up by a Ganondorf who's not even trying, it's a bad feel, and I don't fuck with that, and it pisses me off. Donkey Kong would be my next go-to, because I think Donkey Kong's like a little strong for like what he can do. Like the cargo throw just needs to not be a thing. However, I put respect on Donkey Kong. Ganondorf, I have respect for, but not when I'm losing to him.
All right. I guess I'll follow it up now. I'm gonna say my least favorite character all time. Joey, he puts respect on his least favorite characters. I put no respect on fucking Jigglypuff. Fuck that shit. The only cool thing that Jigglypuff does is rest, and the rest of it can just straight fuck off. It's just a slew of safe aerials and bullshit and bouncing around the map. And
I don't disagree with any of what you're saying.
Especially fuck Timeout Puff. If you don't think Timeout Puff needs to be banned, you need to get your fucking head examined. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
When will Bene make a guest appearance? When he isn't too busy taking like 18-year-old girls out on dates.
Oh, it's like that, huh? Oh my god! You know what? That is a perfect way to end the podcast.
That's a good way to close that off.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
For real,
this was a blast. It was a really good vibe doing this for the first time, and it's the first, but it definitely won't be the last. We're looking to make this a weekly to bi-weekly occurrence. Joey will be on tour, and we will be maintaining our week to bi-week schedule. So, as always, I'll keep you updated in the Discord, as well as Joey and I will keep you guys updated on all of our social media as to when and what the next episode is going to be about. Just so you guys know, this podcast is all-encompassing. It's literally just about me and Joey and the things that we like and the things that we do. So, it's not exclusive to video games. We could very well talk about
it'll be a large talking point of, but it's not exclusive to
music, television, anything, literally anything. It's a blank canvas. So
we literally spend hours at a time. We'll agree it's time for us to both go home and go to sleep, and we'll get out of his car after like going to get like food or something, and we'll sit there and stand outside in the cold and shoot the shit about like some tangent for 3 hours outside. After already saying, all right, it's time to go home before we know it's 5 a.m. We literally were just like, we can talk about anything we like for an eternity. So let's at least try and put some fucking value to that, So here we are. We're literally just talking about shit we like. And those things usually fall under the umbrella of being considered alternative or, don't get me wrong. Gaming is mainstream. Gaming is absolutely mainstream. But like caring about competitive gaming, although the most popular it's ever been, is still a moderately non-mainstream thing. And we both care about competitive gaming.
100%. All right, guys. So with that, Joey and I are going to sign off I will be back momentarily for viewer battles. I'll be back in probably about 5 minutes. Take a quick break. But thank you so much for joining us, guys, and we will see you next time at the A.T.A. podcast. So,
See you soon. Thank you.
deuces.